resource that we could just wait, and then it's great for the kids because they come back to town in 10 years and say, hey, I helped make that sign.
It's 7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Jim Gibson, would you like to lead us tonight, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. Tammy, will you take us through roll call, please?
Yes, I will. Those present are Mayor Shaw, Council members Baker, Johnson, Arnbrister, Kemp, and McVeigh. Staff present is myself, City Attorney, City Engineer, Lieutenant Mancias, and City Planner.
All city engineers.
Both city engineers, yes. And there's no absences. Oh, excuse me, Ron Gibson, yes.
Excused absence.
Yes.
Thank you, Tammy.
Approve the agenda.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed 5-0. Thank you, council. We'll now ask for approval of the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda to include the May 24, 2022 meeting minutes, June 14, 2022 claim vouchers 7345 through 7365, and 3 EFTs in the amount of $26,377.84. May 22 payroll in the amount of $36,344.51, and April and May treasury.
Second. There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed 5-0. Thank you, council. Now moving to public comment, where anybody in the audience could address the council for up to 3 minutes. What do we have, Tammy?
We have Robbie. Hi, Robbie Curry, representing We Love Rainier. I came to thank the council tonight and the city for the generous donation that you guys gave us. It's going to come in very handy for our summer events. And I also want to thank the ladies at the front office because they are always so good about making sure that things get on the sign and the calendar. And I would thank Ron if he was here, but not. I would thank you instead for fixing the electrical in the park, Pelican Park, so that I'm not scared that we're going to get electrocuted. And I just wanted to kind of impress that, well, first off, I want to say I heard a rumor that the gazebo was going to get spruced up. And I would like to kind of impress upon the council and the maintenance people that maybe we could have that done for the summer events, since we have a lot of people coming in July for the July 2nd event, Roundup Days, and the Bluegrass. It would look really nice if it was spiffed up and looking as pretty as the church over there. And we can, you know, have it nice and pretty and maybe dress it up with some red, white, and blue bunting and that sort of thing, so that people, when they're coming into town, say, wow, looks awesome. So that's what I wanted to ask or say. Thank you guys again for everything. Okay. And I want to remind you that we have our first movie in the park this month on the 25th, and then we have the July 2nd event that runs from 2 to 8. So tell your friends, tell your family, everybody come.
So, if you remember when she was talking about the electrical at the park, this spring we updated, Tom was involved in that, right, Tom? Yeah. We updated along with Public Works, electrical under the ground over there at Holiday Park now. So come next Christmas and holiday, when we light up the park, we won't have to run as many electrical cords and everything. So not sure. I saw a couple of your eyes like maybe you didn't know what she was talking about there. So if you drove over there now, you'll see some boxes sticking up in the ground in the middle. But that was what she was talking about. So, and Tom was a big part of that. So thank you, Tom. Did I miss? Was there somebody else who was with you on council that I missed, Tom?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I think so.
That was the only one wandering around.
So, to answer your question, usually it's not a question and answer, but I will. It's part of my report since Ron's not here tonight. The gazebo will be getting some work done, and you may see him start working on it this week. I won't guarantee it, but I talked to Ron today. Hopefully, if not this week, next week, but it'll be done by Roundup days. I guarantee that.
Awesome.
So.
It would be lovely for everybody that's coming into town to see it looking all pretty and checked out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other public comment? So we'll go to staff reports. I guess I'm going to go since I'm kind of the one talking right now. And we are going to do a little upkeep on the gazebo over there. You've probably seen a lot of projects going on in the city this summer. We're hearing a lot of great comments. Every day I come in here and Tammy's having somebody else give them a comment or something. But we've made some progress, and the new light poles that you guys talked about, those are up there. I think they add to it real nice. We're going to put another one still on the entry over here. We repainted the entryway up to the steps here. The pump house most recently over what street would that be, Tim?
2nd Street?
I don't know if you haven't driven by. The pump house on 2nd Street was re-sided and repainted. It was really bad looking. We're going to be repainting the pump house over here on 3rd Street. We're going to repaint the one up Myers Transfer Station here in the next couple weeks. You've seen all that. I know we heard a lot of compliments about the road painting crosswalks there that they did here in the last couple weeks. So that's a good time to just talk about some of those. Did I miss any other projects that we've been doing lately?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
And a lot of that, I had invited Will to come to our meeting tonight. Will's our summer help. I know George knows him. I don't know. I think Dennis has met him before. I'm not sure if the rest of you have. He's been a great addition. He's mainly doing all the mowing and keeping up on it. And I wish we could have had summer help like him for the last couple of years. He works his rear end off. He comes to work. He's on time every single day. He's basically here with Ron at 7:30. And he's just doing a great job. And he hadn't been to a council meeting before, so I think he was pretty excited when I went and caught him yesterday and asked him to come. So, Will, you have anything you want to say to the council? Council, got any questions for Will?
I just want to say, I think, Will, you've done a great job. I think the entire city has done a great job. We look better than I think we ever have in the city right now.
I agree 100%. I see you, I wave at you all the time.
Yeah. I tried to wave to everybody. I tried to be mindful when people were driving by to not, as I'm close to the road, to not have the weed whacker on full throttle.
Yeah.
Unless you get the muffs on.
Yeah.
But you've done a great job.
Thank you.
It's excellent. And if there's anything that you need or whatever, please let us all know.
Thank you.
Because we can help you out wherever we can.
Welcome on board, Will.
Thank you.
And, what Tom just said, I mean, and George, it's a lot of what you've done here, and even though it's only been 4 weeks now, you've been self-sufficient, and by him being able to do that, we've taken the other two and got the painting done on the roads. Those haven't been painted, I don't think, since I've been the mayor. And we're not done yet with the crosswalks. And Charlie, who's our one sprayer, has been able to do a lot of spraying. I think he got up in the Tipsoo. We've been doing some roadside mowing up there. We've got some other things. And like I said, these projects of painting these buildings and re-siding them, we're going to put up, probably going to get it in Friday. We get so many compliments about our front, this facility. It drives me crazy when we have our 2 garbage cans sitting out front. So Ron, is one of the employees, is going to put a little enclosure over here on the side of the building. Probably going to be done this Friday. We're gonna put a cedar enclosure up so we can keep the garbage cans out of sight. Like, you know, like I was telling Tammy, if we had our own garbage service, we'd be in fault of our own codes of having garbage cans out on the sidewalk all week long. So projects like that. And Ron and his staff have been doing a real good job. We're trying to get a calendar made. I know a couple of you guys have talked about at council in the past. Ron has now come up where he has a weekly calendar for his employees, and they come to work on a Monday and they got their whole calendar mapped out. Is that correct, Will?
Yeah.
And basically they get their chore done that day and Ron's checking it off. And I wish Ron was here tonight so you could hear what I was going to say, but I think we're going the right direction. So.
Mr. Mayor, comment, they're doing great, and I really appreciate the city does look great. One thing that you might want to have them look at is the storage tower up on Trotter Downs. When we did that, we did it so we could have two towers side by side, but in the empty area where the second tower is supposed to go, they've allowed the fir trees to grow up in there.
That was
They're just gonna get bigger and bigger and be a problem later.
that was on, to be honest with you, that was on the list to get done yesterday. I mean, I've looked at his calendar. Tammy and I both look at it regularly. I'm not sure why it didn't get done, but it's already on the list. So it'll get done.
I just hate to think how much work it would be for them.
Yeah. No, that, you're talking the water tower. And I stopped when I said the booster station, but yes, I didn't mention the water tower up there just because it was on somebody's agenda that was supposed to be getting done yesterday, and I'm not sure what happened to that.
That's gonna be a pretty big job, so.
Yeah.
It's not like it's
That'd be- Okay, thank you, Dennis. The other thing I have on this, my staff report, we talked about the $250,000 we got from Thurston County for the pickleball tennis courts and to upgrade our basketball complex down there. We've gone through all the things. Bill has reviewed the contract. We've sent that back off, the interlocal agreement. You know, we had to do our park plan. We had to change a little bit, and we approved a park plan with Mr. Gibson and Mr. Hinton doing. That's all done. John's now been in contact with the county as we're moving forward, and John has found out that there's some matching funds for us to get our money, anywhere from 20 to 40%. John has a preliminary budget that he feels, as soon as I get done talking about it, John can answer any questions you have. Of the 330,000, which would, if you take 30% of that, that's 75,000. So I'm taking 75,000, give or take, either way, the 20 or the 40% that we would have to match. So I think what John and I are wanting to move forward, John needs to have an idea. He needs to tie down the whole project and cost fees. But I think what I'm asking the council is, can we come up with an agreement or a motion that we can allocate $80,000 to that project? So if we hit the 330, Thurston County will give us the 250. We'll satisfy that 20 to 40%. John feels pretty confident that if we were able to come up with the 80,000, that we'd fall into the category with there. And there's a couple things that if we do some of the engineering ourselves and our inspections, and we do some of the administration fee, we may be able to save some of that money and pay for it with our own employees. So, John, you want to add anything?
Yeah, the
Please.
330 was based on similar construction that in Olympia. And I'm hoping we might be able to trim that down a little bit. Right now, we've got an on-call contract that's prepared with 3 amendments, one for the engineering for the pickleball tennis court, one for the water system plan, crosswalk project. There'll be addendums to that on-call contract, that new on-call contract. So one of the things I talked to the mayor about is, and I talked to the county about, if Ron had enough time, I talked to Ron Gibson as well, he said, as long as the mayor doesn't mind, I don't mind. Hours that Ron worked for inspecting the construction that was done on the pickleball and tennis court and getting quantities and any work that Tammy might do on putting together the quantity spreadsheet, on the monthly progress estimate. And something that Jim might do, as an engineering component, those hours that they're charging the city could be used against that match, so that instead of 80,000, maybe it'll be 70 or 60,000. So yeah, I thought that might be a way you want to reduce those costs if it's possible.
And I talked to Tammy and I talked today about it. We do have COVID money we could fund into, or we also, in this current year's budget, we have 100,000 in for park improvements that we're already over halfway through the year. I'm sure we'll be probably rolling that into next year anyway, because we have nothing earmarked for that $100,000 in this year's budget. So that could be sitting, because this will be into next year's budget. We're not gonna, this project will not get done now, but it will get done next year along with the bathrooms. So we have access to money in either one of those two areas. So George, you had a
I
question?
was just gonna say, and I'm not even sure it's necessary, if we've given any consideration to any kind of lighting on those courts.
Lightings on it. I mean,
I'm not sure we need it, but.
we don't have, no, the design that Jim Gibson and I sent to John Hinton, it's, on the Elm side of the basketball court is adding a pickleball and two pickleball and a tennis court. We would re-fence the entire complex together. You have to obviously have tennis courts and pickleball courts need to be fenced, so there'd be cross fencing going in there with nice fence put up, not us putting it up. The complex at Olympia that John and I have talked about and I went and looked at, Maureen's been with me, it's nice.
I think it's great.
We have concrete all the way around it. We have concrete walkway between, which would be the consisting basketball court. We would have concrete between the basketball court and the pickleball court and be able to put some picnic tables in there. Because you'd have, when you go into a tennis court or a pickleball court, you got to have gates. I mean, those parts, because balls are going all over. We'd have a walkway going back out to the trail. Jim Gibson, can you help me? Anything else that we put in that picture?
No, I think you covered it.
Oh, we had lighting. We already got lighting in there. We'd probably improve the lighting, put a couple more light poles around. We talked about getting water out there.
Then I researched back, I think you mentioned security cameras too.
That was one we talked about. It's not specifically defined the locations, but it's discussed.
So it's
No, it sounds great.
it's not just going to be, the basketball court is awesome. Basketball court gets a lot of use, but it's not just going to be put another tennis court in there and a pickleball court next to it. It's going to be more of a facility. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I sat down right here and worked on it. John, you want to add anything? Do you think I missed that was on the
No, I think you covered it. I just wanted to say, my main question to finalize the contract is, do you want us to go ahead and cut out as much of the construction inspection and administration that we feel Ron could do, or at least generate, how many hours, maybe get that back to you to see if you feel you can spare him for that many hours a week.
And John, after I got off the phone with you, I came down, Tammy and I and Ron all met. I didn't get a chance to talk to Jim Gibson about it, but, Tammy was on board that if she needed to do some administration stuff, that we could free them up. But Yes.
Because that will definitely cut the cost, cut our contract costs.
So I think,
And that will go against your local shares, so I think it's probably good.
so I think, unless people have more questions, I guess what I'm asking for is allocating, at this point in time, a maximum of $80,000, and hopefully we will be less than that, but we feel pretty confident that if we can allocate $80,000 on top of the $250,000, we'd be able to put together a pretty good project.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and allocate the $80,000 towards the project.
Okay, there's a motion, a second, to allocate $80,000 to go on top of the impact fee from Thurston County to move on with the pickleball tennis court project. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you very much, council.
Mr. Mayor, just one comment. I would like to see us do something about parking. When we put these new pickleball and tennis courts in there, that we prohibit parking right next to the fence at those facilities. People can park down there in one of the other lots and walk. It's not that big a distance.
I think that's a good thought. I support that because it drives me crazy. I think somebody can support me on that. That drives me crazy when I drive by. But I think that's going to take some, there'd be some, you know, who, you know, without us having our own police force. I mean, unless, you know, Tammy and I have had that talk because she knows it frustrates me. I mean, unless we go and eventually fence off the whole facility, Dennis, I mean, I think it's something we need to talk about, maybe at the next retreat. I think let's put that on our retreat for this fall.
I think our residents that use that facility, if there was proper signage, would pay attention to it and not do that. I'd like to think that about our residents.
I agree with you, and I think I'll put that on the list for the retreat to talk about. The next thing, once we get that project done. Anything else? Okay, then we'll move on with staff reports because I was probably the long-winded ones tonight. Tammy,
Surprise, surprise.
usually I'm the short-winded one.
I am going to the AWC conference next week, just for one day. There's 2 classes on Wednesday in particular that I am interested in. So I'm going to leave here Tuesday night, go to Vancouver, and go to the conference on Wednesday, and then come back to work. So that is that. Bob and I have discussed Grand Marshal for the parade this year, and with some suggestions, outside suggestions, we thought Kristen Gazzetti would be a great Grand Marshal this year for her 15 years of service to our city. So I have reached out to her, and she replied with, "Oh my gosh, me? Seriously?" So I took that as a yes. I did confirm, I'm like, is that a yes? So I think that she's going to be our Grand Marshal this year. So that is good news. Juneteenth has come up. I've been asked by staff if our city is going to acknowledge Juneteenth. Last time we talked about it, it was not adopted by the state yet, which we as the city have state holidays. So now that it has been adopted by the state and federal, we need to revisit Juneteenth. So Bill told me today that it is simply we just have to add it into our policy and procedure manual. There's no ordinance or anything necessary. So any discussion on that?
Is that like a paid holiday?
Yes, it would be an additional paid holiday. Obviously not this June because it has to be implemented for a year before it takes effect. So next June would be an additional paid holiday for city staff.
I'm not really excited about that, but
I'm good with it.
I'm okay with it.
City council loves our stuff.
So do we need a motion, or is that kind of a motion, or are we good to go?
You just write the rules.
that something we need? I mean, George, you were kind of just, well, no, which way are you leaning?
I'm good, but like I said, I think if we wanted, we could discuss it, but the bottom line is you guys do a great job, you deserve, the holidays the rest of the state gets. I think we want to set us apart from that.
Maureen?
No, I'm fine with it. I know there are a lot of other people that get it, and like I said, it's recognized by the state and it's recognized by federal, so.
Okay.
I guess my objection is I don't like the fact that the state is also mandated, if you observe Juneteenth, you have to fly the BLM flag on that day.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll just forget to do that.
So what's that, Bill?
I have not heard that. Okay. That's basically a political party.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's all.
It is, basically, it's a disgrace for fraud.
Along with the rest of them. It's a political party.
I don't mind our staff getting another big holiday. Some of the associated stuff irritates me. But that's me.
So if I hear the consensus, so I don't think I need a motion, then the consensus is for me to approve an additional paid holiday to put into our policy procedure manual.
We can vote on it, I vote yes. I mean, if you want to
Do
vote.
I need a motion, or can I just make the decision?
You two get to make the decision.
Okay.
So I got a new list, I will have Tammy put it into our policy and procedure.
Technically, we'll approve it with the budget for next year anyway.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, thank you. That's actually all I had.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions for Tammy? Tammy?
Nothing new on the sheriff's office side. I think everybody saw the stats for last month, and the changes there, or the differences between the month before. One thing, tomorrow morning, the sheriff's office had an auction. Well, we didn't have an auction, but it was a charity auction that auctioned a ride in our SWAT vehicle for elementary kids. So the winner of that, we'll be picking them up in the morning at the fire station down the road here at about 7:50, 8 o'clock. We'll take them to the elementary school over here, and then once we drop them off, we'll pull around the back, and then the kids will be able to look at it and take photographs with it the rest of the school. So you might see our SWAT truck running around if you're up early in the morning. Nothing to be alarmed with. It's just you're going to be a school bus for the morning. So
Cute.
that is going on tomorrow morning.
That was an auction?
It was the Olympia Master Builders had a charity auction for something.
Oh, and Olympia wasn't here at the local.
No, it wasn't local. Yeah.
Cool.
So, but the winners were local to here.
Awesome.
That'll be run around.
Any questions for Lieutenant? Thank you, Lieutenant Bensing. Mr. Gibson?
Planning's been generally quiet this month, no new applications, just working through the 707 short plat. It'll be final here this week, so you'll see another house start up on Hubbard Street shortly. And we'll continue to work with Trotter Downs on the additional permits issued up there. Other than that, things have been generally quiet.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for you? Adam, got anything besides the 6-year plan we're going to go to?
Go to right now?
No.
Okay.
Come to.
No, nothing. Jim discussed John discussed the pickleball court.
John, do you have anything besides what we already talked about?
No, I'll just say that I probably won't be showing up to any more meetings unless you want me here specific for something. When we do contracts and amendments, I'll send them up for you and council to review, and then you can let me know if you want me to come up and answer questions. I'll do that. I'll probably just let Adam fly on his own at this point.
We've hung on 6 days, 6 months, and 14 days longer than you're supposed to.
I just like you guys.
As long as I can keep talking to you about pickleball.
I'm changing my cell phone.
Your excuse for more meetings, and we'll store that out. Any questions for John? Okay, Dennis?
Nothing.
Any questions for Dennis? Ron? Nothing. Well, you're making me long-winded tonight. I know, nothing there.
Well, it's nothing.
George?
Just that there's a steady meeting this Friday morning at the senior center, so you don't have to go out of town to attend it. If you've never attended, it's really kind of interesting. Some meetings are much better than others, but there's a lot of information to share there. That's all. That's all I got.
Okay, any questions for Tom or George? Maureen?
Nothing.
Any questions for Maureen? Bill, got anything? Besides what
You're
you've
not
helped me
gonna
with
make
tonight?
me make this meeting run over 7:30.
Okay. 6-year street plan. Adam?
Yeah, so, yeah, I trust that all of you have a copy.
Yes, it's the bottom page in your packet.
I know you actually.
It's the very last page.
Okay. So you'll recognize 1 through 6, previously. All costs have been updated.
Oh, there it is. Mixed in. Yeah, thank you.
All the costs have been updated by, increases that we're currently seeing on transportation projects. I worked with Ron on this, so, number 7, Olympia Street West overlay was added. So I welcome your feedback on this. If there's anything you feel, should be changed in the order of priority, please let me know. If there is anything, you live here, you drive the streets, if there are any streets that you would like to see get attention on this list, please let me know. I have a list of all of the most recent ratings. Most of them were done in 2020, but I know a little bit can change since then. So, yeah, if anyone has feedback, please let me know.
When you say project like the first one, one, is that 1 month?
No,
Oh, no.
it's basically at an intersection, so there's really not much length to it.
Oh.
I'm sorry, it should say mile, but it's 0.1 miles.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
and then, so that's not gonna be done until 23?
correct.
I guess I have a question. The Myers Street crosswalk,
That actually, the design will get done in 22. Yeah, we should have probably changed that. We should get the design done this year, as soon as they pour those sidewalks at Dollar General. Then we can get started on asking. They probably construction, but probably get done. Those sidewalks, Ron and I met with them, they've gone through 3 superintendents over there in the last month. So the project is really slowing down. Ron and I went over there today, and Ron put the clamp down and said they better get their rear ends in gear, because that intersection's been dug up for over a month now. It was supposed to have been done a month ago, and I'm frustrated because I hear people turning, it's an accident looking to happen there. Anyway, they told Ron that he got on the phone while we were there, he called his bigwig, and basically they're supposed to be done with everything by the end of the month. And Ron said, you damn well, quote, you damn well better be, or we're gonna start fighting. Ron's getting fed up. So I think the sidewalk, they were working on it today, they got it ready to make the turn. If you didn't drive down there, maybe you and Adam wanna drive down there when you're done tonight, and see if it looks like what it's supposed to. But hopefully by the end of the month is what they guaranteed. They're supposed to have the whole parking lot paved and everything in the next 15 days. So go back onto your discussion there. Yeah, and the only reason why I say it's probably gonna be 2023 before we do it is because WashDOT needs to approve the pedestrian study. I just don't have a feel for the time that's gonna take.
well, then that gives me 2 questions. This has been pending and we were authorized or given the grant money to do it, what, 3 years ago?
They approved the application, but the funds weren't available until, I was thinking, about a year and a half ago. But yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, so my question is, why is it taking so long to do a traffic study and submit to the state to get it done? And then I'm astounded that for $142,500 project, we're paying $425,000 for engineering costs.
Yeah,
certainly hope so. Plus the engineers do the work too.
Does get added into the total too, so it's more than a typo.
Maybe it's a flip flop.
That's probably a couple of decimal places off. Okay, we will correct that. I saw that.
Hampton got the same thing, got 580 down.
What's it, the streetscape?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, now that's
that's
actually,
roundabout.
that's actually close.
Yeah, that's a roundabout, I can understand that, but a crosswalk.
Yeah, that's just copy and paste.
Okay.
So let's go back to the order, because it sounds like Adam has a few typos and corrections in his formatting to figure out. Any objections with the order right now?
Is 1 and 2, are those funded? I mean, one's funded, is 2 funded, is that just part of the chip seal program that the county comes around to?
2 is not funded yet. That would have to be a TID application.
Well, I think the most important thing on this list is that Meyer Street crosswalk.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially with that
I
new
agree.
story going in there.
Definitely.
Something needs to be done. I mean, I'm surprised Washington pushing this off. They need to put this at the front of their list. I mean, I would think that'd be liable if something happens over there.
Well, let me get that contract amendment up to you guys, so we can get the circuit crew out here as soon as I get that sidewalk done. Get going on that design. And get going on the report, the pedestrian study, do that quickly. Get that done.
I foresee a problem, they're getting ready to pour that curbing and then the sidewalk. And the way they're setting it up, there's handicap access right there in the middle of that intersection. And once that concrete's on the ground, people are gonna start using it. They're gonna start walking across that busy street with no protection. I would hate to see somebody get hurt.
I'd actually like to see them drop the speed limit now before anything else goes on, because it goes from 45 to 30 right there. I mean, so they're already coming at a fast speed. Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't take an act of Congress to do that.
Yeah, we'll put that in the pedestrian study.
It'd be nice if it's run at 35 back to Timpson.
You just have to slow down.
Yeah, at least back to the trestle.
Yeah.
And help with the egress to the CNE site there.
I drive that too many times a day to go 35 to Tips Hill.
Yeah.
That's 10 minutes.
It just give the lieutenant a lot more things for you guys to patrol. And
You're
you,
with me every day, guaranteed, so you can sit there.
okay, so John, you got a census, Adam and John, of what we need done on that, or what council's wishes are on the crosswalk? Okay. And I think I support everything in the order that's there already. Ron was prepared to give a comment if you had any questions. You know, the Minnesota, the Center Street extension and the, was Alaska Street, the one we talked about today?
Idaho.
No.
Alaska.
Alaska. You know, if you drive over, it's okay, but that Idaho is because we're concerned about the road deteriorating over time. And Ron, or John, after you had me talk to Ron, he supported that. He was the one that wanted that on the list a few years ago. So. Okay.
You want to keep that order Alaska before Idaho then, or do you want to flip those?
I'm fine with the way it is.
I mean, we can always put them later.
We always change it all the time anyway. Okay, Adam, you need anything more for us?
No, just, yeah, feel free to contact me or.
If you could try to get those numbers
Yep.
corrected and where you're happy with them, get them to Tammy, and then Tammy can get them back out to council. Okay. Jim, when we were talking, you raised your hand when I was talking about the sidewalks at Dollar General. Did you have something more you know?
I think the answer was already said.
Okay. Okay.
Real quick, because I have to have this filed with somebody, John, Theresa, right?
So,
Theresa Julius or something.
oh, for, we get it approved,
Right.
approved step.
Yes. And I think I have to do that. I think this is supposed to be approved by June 30th, correct?
That would be best, yeah.
Okay.
Do we not have a council meeting? Again in June?
We haven't been having second council meetings, but we can.
They've allowed us to do it in July before.
Last year we did, but I was wondering if it was because of COVID, they were being nice to us.
Give her a call, see
If,
we can have a special meeting.
so if we,
Is that to approve the STIP?
yeah, and then the resolution to approve the STIP.
Do we have a resolution drafted?
I do,
You do?
I do.
Well, in the hope of getting this thing moving, I would move approval of the 2023-2027 STIP with correction on item number 1. Second.
Item number 1 is the only one that, is that the same one you saw?
Yeah, that's
Item number 1 is the only one you see an issue with? Okay. There's a motion and a second to approve the SIP for 23-25. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, council.
So we'll get this corrected and then put in the official WashDOT format and get today's date on the, as approved. And then when you can get me a resolution number, I'll put that on.
I have it. It's 5:47. I just didn't know we would be approving it tonight, so it's in my office, but I can get it if that's what we need.
Yeah, I just need the number.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Do I need to sign it and get it to you? Nope. Okay. Anything else?
No, that'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Any unfinished business?
Just a comment. I want to follow up with what we've said before and thank you and our Public Works Department for what's happened in the city in the last 2 months. And especially thank Will for the work he's been doing around City Hall and Betts Park. It's really looking good. Big improvement. Big comments from people. And that's a good thing.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other unfinished business? Okay.
We'll move to adjourn.
Second.
I was talking to him.
Just so I heard the second, who made it first? Dennis. Motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting is officially adjourned at 7:42 p.m. Thank you, council.